Welcome to Dog on the Plot. I'm Kerry, this is Dory, and this is our second plot tour of 2025. Now, full disclosure, this is not my first attempt at this video. I've just moved the camera to the front of the plot to start the tour proper, and you can see that we are losing light really fast. And yeah, I don't think it's probably the best conditions to be showing you the plot in the fading light. Now, the reason it got so late and why I was so long on the plot before I even started to think about doing the plot tour was because I was busy planting lots of things out. I still had loads of stuff that needed to go in the ground and I really blitzed it. But I also started something in the polytunnel, which is pretty exciting. And so I think we should start our tour in the polytunnel. Now, there's actually quite a lot that's exciting in this polytunnel, and I'll perhaps get to that towards the end. We can go full circle around the plot. But the thing I really wanted to show you was this. The tomatoes are in. Well, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tomatoes in down what I guess is half this space of the length of the polytunnel. So if I think I've got 8 there, can I fit in my 70? It's still going to be pushing it. I put these very close together and I'm thinking of having 3 rows. But the reason I could get the tomatoes in was because I had watered this bed, because I've been mentioning it's quite hydrophobic. Now that I've got the IBC plugged into the soaker hose, I've had the soaker hose on the bed for a few days. To be honest, it hasn't done that much. Not a lot seems to be coming out of it at all. So I think I need to rethink that maybe it's not quite getting round in the way that it should. I have been pinning it down to the soil because it was kind of lifting up. But anyway, I've watered it and I've put in these first tomatoes. Now, I did forget to put fresh compost in the planting holes, but I did put in the seaweed feed and the mycorrhizal fungi, so hopefully that'll be okay. This one's looking a little bit droopy. Let's string him in, and I have just used string this year. So last year I used bamboo canes and string. This year I'm just using string because I just simply won't have enough bamboo canes for all the tomatoes that I'm hoping to grow. Now, these quite nice specimens here are clearly the ones that are donated from Clare and Allie, and the 3 little spindly ones at the end are mine. But yeah, there are so many more to go out, but I'm really glad to have made a start. Now, there are other things in the polytunnel that I want to show you, but for the time being, let's head outside and start at the front of the plot. I want to say a huge thank you to Wild for partnering with me on this video. I've been using natural deodorant for about 8 years now, and I've recently made the switch to Wild, and I'm really pleased that I did. Not only are they completely vegan and cruelty-free, but the packaging that the refillables come in is compostable. They're really easy to replace in the case. You just pop them out and put one back in and it's ready to go. And I really like that they do these little mini deodorants now for on the go, just in case you get caught out on the plot. Whether I have been cleaning the greenhouse, shoveling compost, or even just enjoying the sun in Turkey, I have found that Wild keeps me feeling and smelling fresh. And they've just launched the new Kath Kidston case. It's the birds and berries one, which I think is perfect for us gardeners. If you're interested in trying Wild for yourself, then please use my code. You get 20% off for a limited time only. Dog on the Plot. You can use the QR code on the screen, and I'll drop a link in the description below. It's such a pleasure now on the plot to see how full it's got and how green it is and colourful. And I'm slightly worried because, of course, there's so much more still to go out on the plot. I potted on my pumpkins this week. 42 pumpkins are in my greenhouse. Yeah, I have no idea where they're going either. But even so, yeah, it feels really lovely to see the plot filling out in the way that it is. Now, talking of pumpkins, that's what's right at the front of the plot. So this one is the Andean. This is the Andean. And if you remember when I put it in, it was standing very tall and straight, but it has started to grow this way now. And if you remember, we were trying to figure out which way it would grow based on the first true leaf, and I seem to have got that right. So it's heading in the right direction. Similarly, on the other side, I've got the Atlantic dill pumpkin, which is supposed to be an absolutely huge pumpkin, and that's also growing in the right direction. Both of them are still alive. Neither have been eaten by slugs, and the rain has been coming. I got all this self-seeded calendula coming up around this particular pumpkin as well. I put in some cornflowers here, and I put in some nasturtiums, a sunflower here. So I'm really trying to build up the flowers at the front of the plot so it looks really pretty. Speaking of which, so at the arches, which is like the focal point as you come to the front of the plot, I've got my cup and saucer vines, and they're growing really well. So pleased that those have taken. I think I planted 10 seeds and I got 2, and both have done fine now that they're in the ground. This one's a little bit shorter, but they should get to the top of the arch by mid-season. So those are the cup and saucer. I've put lupins down either side. I've got calendula at the back. I've got sweet peas here. I've got pulmonaria here. These were donated by my cousin Becky, along with these 2 roses. Now, these are roses that she propagated herself. I think actually one of the branches of the rose snapped in the wind, and so she cut it up and propagated it, and they have taken. So I put them on the plot, and I'm hoping they're going to like their new home. We can't remember the variety, so we've called them Rebecca's Pink Rose, because that's what you do when you can't remember what something's called. You just rename it after yourself. Anyway, the focus at the front of the plot then is lots of flowers, just like I had in the spring with the tulips and daffodils across the front. And indeed, I've got some alliums coming up the front as well. I put in some more cornflowers and nasturtiums, as I said. So yeah, really trying to make this front part look really colourful and inviting. Now, the 2 L-shaped beds that are on either side of the tunnel at the front of the plot, I have kept fairly bare, because I'm thinking this is a good spot for more pumpkins, perhaps courgettes. Having said that, things have crept in. So I've got the amaranth on either side. On this side, I've put in these Cape gooseberries. Actually, these are the ground cherries from Robin. They're not looking particularly robust, but nevertheless, they're in the ground. We'll see what they will do. On the other side, of course, I've got the alderman peas, and they're doing fairly well. They're growing up the netting, so that's good. Also on either side, we've got the sweet peas, this little sweet pea teepee, and I'm so pleased that this is flowering. Oh my God, smells absolutely amazing. They do need tying in. I have let them rather flop around, and I guess I could take my first pickings now. So that's exciting. So sweet peas either side, globe artichoke either side. I think that'll look really striking near the front of the plot here. And I've also now been dotting in brassicas just wherever I can fit them in, and putting little cages over them to try and keep the pigeons out. So I think that's a couple of cabbages there. I think we've got a mangelwurzel there. I've moved my Tortondine kale from the raised beds over here. So it's looking a little bit sad at the moment, but we'll perk up. Got some cosmos, some sunflower. You can begin to see the polyculture that I'm going for in each of the beds, and as we go around, I think you'll notice this because there's a lots of things repeated around the plot. So rather than having a bed of cabbages, I've got a couple here, a couple there. It is making protecting those cabbages difficult, and this is something I've got to think about. The hope is that it confuses the pigeons and the butterflies because you've got all this other stuff going on around the brassicas or whatever it might be. But yeah, that's theory at the moment rather than learnt through practice. So we shall see. So the bed on this side that mirrors that side. So again, globe artichoke, sweet peas. Oh look, white one in there as well. A couple of cabbages. Under here, I've got beetroots. So they're in here, and this is one of the beds that have got the broad beans in, and I've started to crop the broad beans now, and they're brilliant. They're doing really well. I'm so pleased, being that they were not the best looking plants to begin with, but they've really taken off, and yeah, they've got black fly. They've totally got black fly, but it's not affecting the actual crop. So yeah, really pleased with the broad beans this year. Now hopping back to the other side, more broad beans, but just look at them. There's so many as well. These are all the Aqua Dulce varieties. So we've got broad beans. I have planted peas around this teepee and they're just about emerging, but I might have to put some more in there. These are tomatillos. These are the tomatillos from real seeds. I've also got some more tomatillos somewhere that are from seed from somebody else on this allotment. These are the taller ones, but they are a bit spindly, so we'll see how they do. I've got coriander going to seed over there. I planted a lot of coriander wherever I put the parsnips in as a deterrent. Again, thinking about companion planting, and it immediately bolted because obviously we've had such a lovely warm spring. Dory, how did you get all the way over there? And yeah, immediately bolted. But I don't mind that because I think the flowers of coriander are beautiful. And of course, then you get the seed, which you can collect and sow again or eat. So underneath the coriander there are the parsnips, and they are growing fantastically now. I think the rain that we've had has really helped those along. I've also got lovely bronze beauty lettuce behind there. There's more nasturtiums in this bed as well. Now the bed next to that one, where Dory had managed to get round to, this isn't actually broad beans. These are field beans, and these are the cover crop field beans. I've let them grow fairly big. There are some, I'll show you in a moment, that I've taken out in order to plant a crop, which is the idea. But if I don't need the space yet, I'm just letting the field beans grow. Again, you can see these are covered in black fly. Hopefully the black fly is preferring the field beans to the broad beans. I'm not sure that's quite happening, but I can also see lots of ladybirds on here as well, so that's good. Also in this bed, I've got beetroot and I've got radishes in this bed, and this was that mixed packet of radish, just mixed ball-shaped radishes. Oh my God, I have been terrible at growing radish. I just don't have a good history of growing radish. But this year has been an absolute game changer. Lovely big radishes, not woody at all, just the right level of spiciness. I definitely need to sow some more actually. I need to get those on succession. Now this bed is where the other tomatillos are. I didn't have very much luck with tomatillos last year, but these ones are looking pretty good. These are fatter than the ones over there, so hopeful for these. Random brassicas in there. I think this is cabbage. Pratino actually had a label for that one. There is a lot of unlabeled brassicas that have been going on to this plot. I think we've got mangelwurzels there, Welsh onions there, leeks or onions there. I've got a lot of leeks and onions that have gone out. I think those are onions. Yes, those are the red baron. We've got peas there, which are early onward, parsnip, coriander again, broad beans again. Yeah, oh, and some beetroot as well. Now, one of the things that is ready to come out really is all of this mustard. I think this was Purple Frills mustard. Again, like the coriander, it bolted really quickly because of the hot weather, but I've left it in. You know, it's doing no harm. It flowered. It was good for the pollinators, but it is tending to flop across the paths now. So I think it is probably time that that comes out. Now, the arches here, this is where I put in the kiwi plants. And I'm really pleased to say they're alive. They are alive. They haven't grown an awful lot, which is not my expectation. My hope is that they're putting down really good roots. Now, do you remember when I went to Malvern, I talked to the people from Jurassic Plants, and they said that with kiwi, you really want to keep the base of the plant quite shaded. So I put in these strawberries here. They're pine berries, actually, not strawberries. They're the white kind of strawberry. They're really delicious. They taste a little bit like a strawberry crossed with a pineapple. In fact, there are some there that we can have a little try. Let's have a look. Yeah. You see how they're like little white, little white strawberries. And oh, this one, that's got a little bit soily. Do you want that one, Dory? There you go. Good girl. No, you dropped it. There we go. So good. So good. You didn't want it? You don't like those? Oh, do you want a brassica? Do you? Do you want some kale? Good girl. Now, I haven't planted much against this tunnel so far. I'm thinking that this is going to be for mostly pumpkins, but I did put my chocha out, and honestly I think this might be my last attempt at a chocha. I've put out 5. I think they all look like that. They've all just kind of instantly died. So whether that was because it was a bit warm and they weren't getting enough water, I don't know. But yeah, after my third, maybe even fourth year of trying, I think that might be it for a chocha. Now the swing set tunnel, which one of the bamboo canes has come loose. Oh, two have. Oh dear, I didn't tie those in very well. There we go. These have been slightly more planted up. So I've got beans on either side. These are the sunset runners, and I've got Greek gigantes that side. I only just direct sowed those. They haven't come up yet. All of these have been direct sown. This side I think is regular runner. If you have a look, runner. Oh no, that's sunset. So this one is Crusader. That was it, wasn't it? So Crusader that side, sunset that side. I put calendula in here as well. There are leeks on either side, a couple of nasturtiums, a couple of cosmos, and then these beautiful flowers behind me, which are courtesy of Clare. Now these two beds I'm really quite pleased with. So here we've got the tunnel that's had the lettuces in. It's still half lettuces. They're just starting to bolt. I've tended to be cropping an entire head of lettuce rather than taking the outer leaves, just because I oversown, and so I wanted to use them before they bolted. As this tunnel has freed up, I put in some of the brassicas and some beetroots at the side. I've got a whole row of mystery brassicas in the middle there. No idea what they are. I've got onions, I've got parsnips, coriander, Brussels sprouts, broad beans. So yeah, another bed where I've got a lot of things that I've also got elsewhere. This one is slightly different. This is the only place I've got turnips. I have not had much luck growing turnips in the past, but this looks like it's going to be my year. I've got two varieties, the Milan Purple Top and the Tokyo Cross. They are not ready yet, but they're starting to bulb up, and I have left them sown really thickly, so I shall crop them as they grow big and then let the others grow on. Also in this bed, I've got some peas along that side there. I've got some celeriac here. I've got some random onions here. A lot of my signs have onions ? I know they can't be all spring onions because I had such a disaster with spring onions. What is Dory eating there? Dory, have you just pulled a pea out? What have you done? Dory. That was naughty. Well, you might as well have it now. Don't step on that nasturtium as well. That's a little trick she picked up in the home garden last year. She learnt what the peas were. Anyway, let's hope she doesn't eat all the peas on the plot. I have had, hang on, we missed some peas, didn't we? Over here. Yes, we missed this bed because this has a row of peas that were direct sown. These are the onward, not the early onward. And, oh, actually, I put some carrots down there as well, didn't I? I need to make sure I keep watering those. Carrots are a tricky one, aren't they? Am I behind that ball? Because if you don't remember where you've sown them and they dry out. Anyway, peas, birds have been getting at them a little bit. I've got more parsnips down here. Honestly, I'm going to have so many parsnips, and that's brilliant. No, actually, these are celeriac. Those are the parsnips. More coriander. And under this makeshift netting or cage is some more brassicas, and they do have a label that says greyhound cabbage. I have planted those far too closely together, but oh well. So if I haven't missed out any other beds, I think that leads us to the brassica cage just as the wind gets up, to demonstrate that it's looking a lot more rigid than it was. Now I've done some repairs because a couple of days after we put this up, I came down the plot and so yes, I did yet another repair job on it, and I put these bamboo canes down here and tied the poles to those there. And just generally, it does feel a lot more stable now, so I'm quite happy with that. I feel I've been maybe a little bit unfair to the brassica cage. There's a lot of user error that's gone into putting this up and why it has perhaps not looked as impressive as it should. I think one of the main problems is that it is bigger than the bed. It shouldn't be. These were the dimensions that are on the website, but it is actually bigger than it says it is, and therefore it's been hard to pull taut. Nevertheless, it is working now, and everything inside is looking really good. So if you remember, we planted this up with cauliflowers on this side, and I interplanted with various kales. And then on this side is the Brussels sprouts, the ruby red, is it called? Ruby brunch. These were from Clare. And I've interplanted with kohlrabi on that side. And I don't see any signs that butterflies have gotten in here yet, but I'm going to close the door right now. So the only bed left before we get to, two beds left before we get to the greenhouse are the ones with the sugar snap peas. Now you can see I've extended the frame for those now that I've learned that they go to maybe 2.5 meters. And indeed, they're growing so well. You can practically see them growing. So they're fine. The pixie cabbages are fine. This seems to have traveled somewhat. I think this was meant to be over these peas because, again, the pigeons had been at these ones a little bit. And in fact, I can see a pea. This variety is, check my label, oh, the Kelvedon Wonder. Those were the ones that I did in the guttering. But yeah, for some reason, those ones have been targeted by the birds, I think. So I did have the cover on, but with this wind, it'd blown off. We've got a row of beetroot, row of celeriac, row of onions, question mark. So yeah, more broad beans in this bed, lots of baby ladybirds, but as well as little creatures, the dill in the way there. Yeah, I've not been showing you, there's dill dotted around most of these beds. But there are weeds growing underneath these broad beans, and I densely packed the broad beans, so yeah, the weeds have grown up underneath them a little bit. But part of the reason, Saturday I had a huge day on the plot and did lots of this planting out, and it took absolutely forever because every bed that I wanted to plant in first needed weeding. Because of this rain, the weeds have all come up. My weeds here are mostly chickweed, fat hen, dandelions, but fairly, you know, not too invasive. So they've been quite easy to weed out, but nevertheless time consuming to do. But yeah, so I wanted the beds to look fairly nice for the tour and to have a good weed, but boy, it took a long time. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. What have we got here? French breakfast radish, mustards, beetroots, the sugar snaps, and a row of leeks. These are my leeks here. Oh, and a couple of calabash cabbages over there. Oh, and of course my pumpkin. Well, not a pumpkin. This is a butternut squash. It's a butterbush butternut squash, and it's one from Allie and Trish, and it's in here amongst everything and doing fantastically. So really happy with that. All right, Dory's coming into the greenhouse with me because she can't be trusted around the peas anymore. Hey, Dory? Right, into the greenhouse then. No, it's not been fully glazed. Still a work in progress. We've got the glass. I just haven't had time to put it in. But what I have done in here is created a couple of little beds at the sides here. And I've filled them with really quite poor compost. And the reason that I've done that, and quite gritty compost, is because I'm hoping to plant them up with all of these herbs. I treated myself, oh my goodness, the smell of all this, treated myself to all of these herbs at the garden centre the other day. I think you saw me buy the tarragon, but I've also got things in here like the cola plant. So good, so good. Thymes. This one is hyssop. I've got the blackcurrant sage. All sorts of different things in here, a little rosemary, and I want to create these into little herb beds, particularly for the kinds of herbs that are less hardy over winter. So I really love lemon verbena, which I think is that one. Yep. And I have this growing in the home garden. It does tend to come back eventually, but it really does suffer over the winter. So I thought if perhaps I grew it inside the greenhouse, then it might overwinter a little bit better. Perfect for tea, lemon verbena. So good. Better than lemon balm. So that's my plan for that part of the greenhouse. These calendula self-seeded and are looking beautiful, so I've left them here. My peach tree continues to be dead. And the nectarine and the apricot are doing fine. I've just positioned my grapevine at the back. I've had that grapevine since the old plot. It was in the ground on the old plot, and that's going to go in here eventually. And behind me, well, I have the elephant garlic. We'll talk about that in a moment. But I've also got my sweet peppers. So I think I'm going to have my sweet peppers in here, maybe my chili peppers at the greenhouse at home. I've got one aubergine here. Where am I putting all the other aubergines? I don't know yet. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. But I did bring those down here, ready to plant out. Just haven't got around to it just yet. Oh, Dory, how did you manage this? My goodness. There we go. Come on. Come on. I think it's only now doing this tour that I'm realizing the size of the plot, but also how much is planted up. And yeah, I'm starting to think we might have to do tours as part ones and part twos. We'll see how long this one goes for. More lettuces in the tunnel. In this bed, I had field beans growing, but these ones I have chopped. I haven't dropped yet. They're sitting just over there. The reason I haven't dropped is because not because they've got the black fly on, I don't think that's a problem, but I noticed that there were some caterpillar or butterfly eggs on the underside of the leaves, and I put brassicas in here, so I don't want to chop and drop those and them hatch and just pop on to these brassicas. These ones are the Duncan cabbages from Clare. I put some phlox in here, my creme brulee phlox, which I'm really excited about, and we've got some leeks along there as well, but I have got space here. So that's good, good to have some space. And then this, of course, was the first bed I ever planted up. And it's the onions and garlic. So, my goodness, what is this all over the garlic there? Is that just the black fly? Do black fly like garlic? If you know what that is, let me know. I mean, it does look like the black fly that's on here, so I think it's probably just come off the broad beans and onto that garlic. Didn't know black fly liked garlic. But what does like garlic or alliums is allium leaf miner. And I am really, really disappointed to say that I pulled up a couple of the really straggly looking ones of the onions, and it was in it. They were at 100% definitely allium leaf miner. How much of this is going to be affected by it remains to be seen. But yeah, I never had it on the old plot, so I didn't bother netting. I shan't be making that mistake again. So I think there's a little bit of rust coming on here, but most I think is just general kind of dieback because we're getting towards the time when this will all be ready to be harvesting. So it'll be interesting, but also, you know, probably quite heart-wrenching to see what the effect is of the allium leaf miner. But yeah, in the future, I will be netting. And that takes us to my 6 raised beds behind the greenhouse, which are pretty much all planted up now. So we have, I'm going to do this quick, we have Cape gooseberries and sweet peas, and this is where I put my asparagus. I tried to make a structure. Flowers to be planted out. Underneath those flowers though, I've direct sown Florence fennel, carrots and spring onions. I've got beetroot in here and I've got strawberry sticks. This is the oca bed. I can see oca coming up. Yes. This is the straw flower oca bed. Now, this is not tall enough now. I'm going to have to take that off and hope for the best against the foxes because, yeah, that's been making them bend over. But this is the one where I've done straw flowers and oca mixed in the bed together. I can see the oca coming up between them. Happy with it so far. This one is all straw flowers. Again, I need to take the grating off. And then lastly, we've got this bed, which I'm quite excited about because I have not had much luck germinating chamomile in the past. But I put some chamomile in this bed and I think that's what's coming through. I'm hoping it's not a weed and it is chamomile. The row of carrots is looking absolutely fabulous. Really happy with that. And more beetroot. I seem to have sown a lot of beetroot. There's beetroot everywhere. And before we move to the Fruit Tree Guild, I mustn't forget behind the greenhouse because, of course, this is my potato jungle. Look at these Charlotte potatoes. Now, if you remember, we've got an experiment going on here. So towards the back there is the commercial seed potatoes. And at the front here is my saved seed potatoes. Now, the saved were looking better as they were growing. There's not much between them now. So yeah, the proof will be in the lifting of the potatoes, but that's a little while off yet. Even longer off is the main crop potatoes. So these are the Steester variety. I've got, what have I got? A King Edward in buckets at the back, but these are the Steester ones. They took a while to come up, but they're here now, and yeah, they're looking really nice. I have not done very much watering of these at all. Now, not quite last, but getting towards the back of the plot now is the absolute triumph that is the Fruit Tree Guild. I could not be happier with how this has gone. Okay, I would have less weeds. So this was a bed, it was broad forked, it wasn't rotavated, and it's had no mulch. So every other bed on the plot has had a compost mulch, but everything, even though the ground is really hard in this area, things have took so well. I mean, this strip of hollyhock where I just threw down really old seed that I did not think would germinate. And now I think some of these are going to flower this year, you know. In fact, I can see there are flower buds on this one. The raspberries in the middle are slightly drowned out by the tree spinach that came along with them from the old plot, but I'm enjoying the colour of the tree spinach at the moment, but I shall pull that out and let the raspberries get a little bit more room. But the real wonderful thing about this, well, several things, I can't just pick one. The trees have fruit on. The chives, the heads on the chives are just absolutely stunning. The elephant garlic that I transplanted is taken and is about to flower, and I'm going to let that one flower. The sunflowers are growing, but the real icing on the cake is how well the strawberries are doing. I have cropped so many strawberries from this bed already, and yeah, and they taste absolutely delicious. I took some up to Liam's at the weekend and he ate one and he said, I quote, "That might be the best strawberry I've eaten in my entire life." That's what we do it for, right? That's why we grow our own, because it tastes so much better. Because yeah, we know what's in it. We know how it's grown. It's grown with love. It's grown with love. Now, some things don't need love to grow. One of them is tree spinach. I just put some compost from the old plot onto this bed, and this was all in it. I did not plant a single tree spinach into this bed. It's absolutely swamped the poor asparagus that was trying to grow in here, not growing very well. Again, I need to pull this out and then I'll have a whole bed here to use. But in the meantime, I have been eating the tree spinach because I think it is absolutely delicious. I love it. Maybe Dory would like that. So next to the tree spinach, we've got the Japanese wineberry I still haven't put in yet. We've got lemon balm. We have Jerusalem artichokes, the dwarf variety, more broad beans. I haven't even been in to look at those broad beans. Pots of potatoes. These are the first early red Duke of York. These are the Sapamira that I didn't eat last year and have now regrown. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out of that pot. I love this little bed here. It's one of the first ones that we planted up with the parsnips and the carrots. I've been adding little bits to it. So it's got the garlics, it's got some beetroot, some coriander, some lettuces, nasturtiums. So it's a real mix. Rocket is in there as well. And then lastly, the jostaberry, which has fruits on, which I'm so pleased about because obviously it was transplanted from the old plot. And then I've got the main crop potatoes in buckets there that really need earthing up. And also the honeyberry, which I still haven't put in the ground. Now, before we finish up back in the polytunnel, I just want to show you, do I want to show you? Yes, I'm going to show you the back of the plot. We're going to have a little bit of YouTube reality now, but also some plans that I've got. Now, mess might be a little bit of an understatement because I can't even actually get in here right now. This is absolutely on the list as a job to be done. A fairly big job, I think. If believe it or not, there is growing space under here, I think. So once I get this cleared out, I might cultivate this into a bit of an area. But behind the little greenhouse, And this looked much more impressive before everything got dumped around here. I've put the bed back here. Oh, tree in the way again. So the bed divides people. There are people who think it's fabulous, a real good reusing of materials. There are other people who think it's ugly and ridiculous. Mark is of the latter and wasn't too pleased about me having this at the front of the plot. And fair enough, it wouldn't have fit really in the beds as I've got them anyway. And I had this little brainwave because there was a tarp at the back here. And if you remember, I'd piled on all the compost from the old plot. I was bringing over and waiting to see if there was bindweed in it. And underneath that tarp is ground, actual ground. So I'd say I lifted the tarp. It was not as easy as that. Had to, because the soil was really heavy on top. So I had to shovel all of that off, put it into these buckets, then pull up the tarp, which is now at the back of the plot there, and then maneuver this bed around the greenhouse into the spot. It still needs a bit of leveling out, but then all this compost is going to go back into it. And this is, well, I think of it as quite a shady spot because you've got the trees around it, but actually it's getting quite nice dappled sunlight. I think this might be a nice area to grow some brassicas. The only thing that worries me about it is the amount of slugs and snails that might be in this area because you've got the compost bins all along the back here. But yeah, anyway, big work in progress here. Is not high on my list of priorities at the moment, I have to be honest, because it is tucked at the back of the plot here. But yeah, at some point, there'll be development opportunities back here. And so it is, we come full circle back into the polytunnel. And, you know, I've just realised I was putting in all the biggest tomatoes, inevitably not the ones that I've grown. And I thought I'd put them all in, but there's another 2, 3 right here. So they need to go in sooner rather than later because they're getting really tall and I'm afraid of breaking them. But tomatoes is not the thing that I wanted to bring you in here for. It's these brassicas. I cannot tell you how pleased I am that I planted up these brassicas in the greenhouse in winter. I shoved them in the ground really with no hope that they would grow into actual plants. If anything, I was just thinking roots in the ground, can take them off at the base, feed the soil a little bit. That I've had as many broccolis as I have from this space has been absolutely incredible. I've been cropping a broccoli every few days. There are so many more still to come. In fact, that one is just going to flower. I've just missed that one. I'll take that one today. I'm sure it'll still be all right. What is in here is some caterpillars. I thought I'd caught them all yesterday and popped them onto the compost heap with some leaves, but I can see a straggler there. So the butterflies have got into this space. But the thing that I want to show you and what I want to end the video with is this. I have finally, in my 3 or 4 years of growing vegetables, managed an absolutely beautiful cauliflower. And in fact, it's not the only one. I've got another one coming there. Ooh, lots of whitefly as well. And I've got Romanescos on the other side. I could not be happier. I can't say like cauliflower is the most exciting vegetable in the world, but to grow a cauliflower might be the most exciting thing in life. So that was a pretty comprehensive plot tour. And yeah, I'm sure I've missed things out, but thank you for watching. I hope to see you next week. Take care.